Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
And I'll be hosting today's webinar. So at this point, hopefully everyone should be able to see my screen. Now, in case any of you are new to our program, I just wanted to briefly explain what ToolKit is about. Our program is designed to help you build attractive and effective presentations, both for buyers and sellers, as well as property flyers. And we also have interactive tablet presentations that are available to complement your printed presentations. Century 21 also provides ToolKit CMA free of charge to all of their agents. So for today, we'll be taking a look at what ToolKit has to offer, and then we'll be going over how to navigate the program. So we'll start by looking at a sample of our standard listing presentation for Century 21 brokerages. Each presentation will begin with the cover page, and we do have a couple different cover page options for you to choose from. Then the presentation will advance to the customizable cover letter, and then to some marketing material pages. And the exact marketing pages that you have might vary by brokerage, as additional pages can be added company-wide by a company admin using a free presentation manager option. And agents can also individually add their own pages from their settings. You'll have the ability to pick and choose which of these pages you'd like to include, as well as the option of changing the order of the pages as well. You'll notice that Century 21 has provided a multitude of different marketing pages to make your presentation stand out. And again, you don't have to include every single one of these pages, but they are made available for you to pick and choose which ones you want. I'll just continue to scroll through the marketing pages here. And then eventually the presentation will advance to the CMA portion, which will begin with the subject property page. Most agents will have two options for the subject property. This version will contain the details without a photo, whilst this version will include the photo if available. After that, you'll have your customizable summary CMA, which will list all of the comps that you've included in a one-line display sorted by property status. After that, you'll have your map of comparable properties. And again, there's two different options for the map page. One of them will graph the properties in an aerial view, while the other will show the map in a satellite view. After the maps, you'll then have your different comparable page options. Again, there's multiple options to suit your preferences. This one here is called the Picture CMA, which will show 3 properties per page horizontally. There's also the single comparable per page, which also has an aerial view map. There's a single comparable page with an aerial view and a satellite view map. And then there's also a page that includes the interior photos if supported by your MLS. After that, you'll then have your columnar CMA page options. Again, there's 2 to choose from. This version here will compare each data point of each of your comps. So each page will include 5 comps side by side in the chart. Whereas this version will compare the subject property to each of your comps. So each page will include the subject property in the first column, followed by 4 comps. After that, you'll then have the option of including a price-adjusted CMA page. This page looks similar to the previous page, except Here, there is an additional column added where you can make adjustments to each of your sold comps. Following that is the property graphs page. There's two different options for the graph. One of them will graph the properties horizontally, while the other will graph them vertically and include summary statistics for each property status at the bottom. After that will come the recommended price range, which the system will help you calculate based on the comps that you included. And after that, you have the option of including a pricing strategy page. This is another page that highlights the recommended price range, but this one is actually fully customizable, so you can change the wording here to explain how you came up with your price range. After that, you have the option of completing a seller's estimated net proceeds worksheet, and then your resume, references, and then review pages will come at the end. If you do have reviews on Zillow, Real Satisfied, Reach 150, Testimonial Tree, Rated Agent, or Delta Reviews, then you'll be able to import your most recent reviews from each of those sites into ToolKit automatically. And then finally, there's a couple more marketing pages talking about your commitment, and then our commitment as a company for Century 21, and then a thank you page to finish up the presentation. Now, when you first access your ToolKit account from 21 Online, you'll be directed here to the home screen. On the left-hand side, you'll see a section for ToolKit CMA News. Any news or updates for the ToolKit program will be shown in here. Underneath that are sections for your recent saves and your recent shares. Any presentations that you create and save or email will be shown in these sections, and we'll take a look at those a little bit later in the webinar. On the right-hand side are the program's two main function buttons, Create a Presentation and Create a Property Flyer. And in the top right corner, there are also some navigational menus which can be used to access different parts of the website. The Go-To menu is something that we'll also talk about a little bit later in the webinar. The Support menu will open up our different options for customer support. There's an online live support chat feature, as well as our 800 number for customer service over the phone. There's also an option to view sample presentations like the one that we just looked at. There's also the Help section, which will pull up another window with some additional links for assistance. There is the ToolKit CMA Startup Guide, which has some useful instructions for brand new users. The online help link will take you to a list of our most frequently asked questions. The personal walkthrough link is another feature that we offer for training, and this would be a one-on-one walkthrough over the phone. If you were interested in scheduling one, you could click on this link. You can then enter in your information along with your two best dates and times, and then an agent will contact you by the next business day to answer your question, or I'm sorry, to schedule the walkthrough. There's also a video tutorials section, which has some brief instructional videos on how to do some basic functions, such as create a presentation, create a property flyer, or upload personal pages. And then the last link in the help section is Contact Us. Again, this has our 800 number along with our schedule. We are open for customer service Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you click on the Contact Us link, you can also send us an email Again, you will just enter your information along with a question or comment, and then an agent will contact you by the next day to answer your question. Back on the home screen, in the very top right corner, there's one more menu which has your agent name and your agent photo. If you click on this menu, this is where you can adjust the various settings and preferences within your ToolKit account. And again, we'll talk about each of these options at the end of the webinar. Now, before we get started building a presentation, I did want to also take another brief moment to go over the interactive tablet version of our presentation. So here I pulled up a sample tablet version. We'll place your company's logo at the bottom right, and then your agent profile and information at the bottom left of the cover slide. Each tablet presentation will begin with this cover slide, and you can navigate using the left and right arrows, or you can also use the navigational menu in the top left corner to jump directly to any slide. After the cover slide, the tablet presentation will then advance to the map of comparable properties. You'll see your list of properties on the right, and then your map on the left-hand side. All the different colored flags do correspond to a different property status. And the map is powered by Google Maps, so it's interactive. You can view the map in multiple different modes. You can zoom in on the map. And you can even view a street view by dragging and dropping the yellow person icon to where you would like it on the map. And then Google Street View will provide you with a view of that area. After the map, you'll then have the customizable summary CMA slide, which again will list all of your comps on a one-line display sorted by property status. And then after that will come your individual property slides. It starts by showing a picture of the main house photo for your first comp. And you'll notice now we have a down arrow. If we click on that, it'll take us to thumbnail images for the interior photos of the property. You can also click on one of the photos to enlarge the view. Going down again will bring you to the full listing details for the property. And then down one more time, we'll bring you to maps of the property. And at any point, you can click the right arrow to move to the next comp in your list. So we'll now use the navigational menu to jump to the next part of the tablet presentation, which is the columnar CMA slide. And just like with the presentation, this slide will compare each data point of the subject property to each of your comps. And then after the columnar will come the recommended price range slide. And this slide will graph the comps according to status. And you can then adjust your recommended price range by dragging the blue scroll bar at the bottom to help visualize the pricing. And then after that, the resume, references, and then conclusion slide will round out the tablet presentation. So now that we've taken a look at the finished product of ToolKit, now we can go over where you'll be spending a bulk of your time within the program, and that's actually building the presentations. So to get started building a presentation, we'll go ahead and click Create a Presentation on the home screen. Then a new window will pop up asking us to select what presentation type we want to create. If you click on the drop-down menu, you'll see all the different options. The listing presentation is the one that we looked at in our sample at the beginning, and it contains the marketing material pages along with a CMA. There's also a Spanish version. Now, the pre-listing presentation is just the marketing material pages without a CMA. And then the CMA only presentation, that's obviously just the CMA portion without any of the marketing material. So you do have a couple different options on how to split those pages up. There's also presentation types for buyers. The buyer presentation would be marketing material. And then the buyer property tour is a presentation where you can upload different listings to show off to a buyer that they might be interested in. And then there's also the Find Homes version of the listing presentation, which is similar to the regular listing presentation, but it does have a more refined look to it. And then if you're a commercial agent, you should also have a commercial real estate service plan presentation, which is just a marketing material presentation. So for today's webinar, we'll go ahead and do the regular listing presentation, and then we'll click Create New Presentation to get started. On the next page, you'll then be shown a list of all of the different documents that can be included in your presentation. So all of those different pages that we looked at in that sample at the beginning are all listed here, and you can pick and choose which pages you want to include in your presentation. Now you can also click on the title of a page here, and then a sample will pop up underneath to show you what the page looks like. So that kind of helps you look through the pages right from this screen here. And you can click on the page title again to collapse the sample. This list includes the marketing pages along with the CMA pages as well. So also on the screen, you can pick and choose which CMA format pages you want. Once you've gone through and selected your documents, if you then wanted to use those same set of documents for your future presentations, then you can set it as a default. Once you're done, click Next. And then we'll reach the prospect information screen. Here you can fill out some information about your client, including their name, mailing address, their name in the cover letter, and then the subject property address as well. And then click Next. And then if you included the cover letter, then that will be the next screen that we come to. Here you can actually customize the letter. We do have a default provided, but you can click right in the box and make any changes as necessary. Or if you have your own letter that you like to use, you can also just copy and paste it into this box here. And as always, if you do make any changes, you can always save it as a default if you want to save those changes for the next time as well. So once you're done with the letter, we'll go ahead and click Next. And that'll take us to the Select MLS screen. And this is where we'll be going into the MLS to download the listings that we want to use for the CMA part of the presentation. And you'll start by choosing your MLS from the list. In your ToolKit account, the different MLS regions for your area will be listed here. I'm just using a demo account, so I have some random boards listed here. Now, for each MLS, you might have the regular option as well as the enhanced download. The difference is with the enhanced download option, the process is fully done from within the ToolKit program. So you can actually search for and download your listings directly from ToolKit without having to sign into the MLS. With the regular non-enhanced download option, you will actually have to sign into the MLS to search for your listings, then export the listings to a file on your computer, and then upload that file into ToolKit in order to download the listings. So just to briefly show how the screens might look, I'll use Bright MLS as an example. I'll choose the regular option and then choose my property type. So with this method, you'll then be taken to the Get MLS Property data screen. And there is a blue link that says MLS Download Guide. And this, if you click on that link, it'll link you to a one-page instructions on how to export your listings and upload them into ToolKit for your specific MLS. So these instructions here are specific to Bright MLS. Each MLS does have its own set of instructions because they each do things a little bit differently. So be sure to click on this guide and maybe save a copy until you're comfortable with the search process. So essentially, it involves clicking Connect to the MLS. That'll pull up your sign-in screen for whichever MLS you've chosen. You can then sign in, and then you would search for your listings and export them according to the instructions in the MLS download guide. And once you've saved your file from the MLS, you can then click the Choose File or the Browse button here, find the file that was downloaded, and then click Upload File. Now, I won't be able to actually demonstrate this process because, like I said, the instructions are different for each MLS. And also, I don't have a login as I'm not a member of the MLS myself. But if you do need help with this part of the program, you can always give our support department a call, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through the process for your specific MLS. So if I go back to the Select MLS screen, that was for the regular download option. But if I choose the enhanced download instead, I just wanted to briefly show this method. Again, I'll use Bright MLS as an example. I'll choose my property type. And now the screen's a little bit different. With this method, the process is done entirely from the ToolKit program. On the left-hand side, I have my different search options. If I've already done my research and I already know what listings that I want to use, then I could use the MLS number search. And then here I can simply type in the MLS numbers for the properties that I want, separated with a comma, and then click Get Listings, and they'll automatically be downloaded that way. Or if you need to actually search for your comps, then you can use the criteria search option instead. If we click on that, you'll be taken to the built-in search from ToolKit CMA. You can see here is all the criteria similar to the search you might find in your MLS. And here you can actually go ahead and just fill out your criteria and try to search for your listings directly from ToolKit. You can kind of fill out your criteria, click Get Count to see how many results you have, and then you just try to narrow it down to a good amount like you would in your MLS. And then once you've gotten your count to a reasonable amount, you would just click Download Listings to download the properties that way. Again, for each MLS is a little bit different. So for the purposes of today's webinar, I'm just going to use some demo properties that we prepared ahead of time just to continue on with the process. So once your properties have been downloaded from the MLS, you'll be taken to the Select Properties screen. And this will show you a one-line overview of all of the properties that you downloaded. Now you can actually click on the picture on the right-hand side to open up some additional details about the property to get a better idea of what the property is like. And you can click on the thumbnail image again to collapse those details. So basically, at this point, you just want to look over your properties and check off only the properties you want to include in your CMA. The system will view anything that you checked off as a comp and will ignore anything that's left unchecked. One thing to keep in mind, if you did download your subject property along with the comps, you do want to make sure to leave the subject property unchecked. You only want to check off the comps. And I'll show you why on a later screen when we get to the subject property details. So once you've selected your comps, then click Next. If you included the customizable summary CMA page, then the next screen we'll come to is Select Fields for Summary CMA. This is the page that was the one-line overview of all of the comps separated by status. If I click this preview, just to show you what the page was, it was this page here. And so you can actually customize the fields that you want to show on this particular page from this screen here. Only the fields that are in the selected fields box are going to show up on this page. And you can move fields from available fields to selected fields using the left and right arrows. You can also rearrange the order of the fields in selected fields using the up and down buttons. And because each comp is displayed on a single line on this page, the amount of fields that you can include is limited, and will also determine what orientation the page prints in. So if you do include more fields, the page might shift to a landscape orientation in order to fit those fields on one line. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are choosing your fields here. And also to keep in mind, this is just the summary page, which is meant to be a quick glance of all of the properties. There are other pages such as the columnar CMA, which have the full details for each property. So typically only the most important fields are included on this page. So once you've made your selection, click Next. And then if you included any pages that have subject property details, then we'll come to the subject property screen. Now, what I was saying before, if you had downloaded your subject property along with your comps, then you'll have a line at the top that says use a downloaded property as the subject, optional. And if you click on this drop-down menu, you'll see a list of all of the properties that you had downloaded but did not check off to use as a comp. So here you can actually select it to use as your subject, and then all the details will automatically fill in from the MLS. However, if your property was not previously listed in the MLS, then you'll need to manually fill out any fields on this page that you want to show in your CMA. Once you're done, click Next. And if you included the price adjusted CMA page, then that will be the next screen that we come to. This page is actually where you can make monetary adjustments to any of the sold comps that you've included. On the left-hand side are a list of all the different description fields that you can make adjustments for. And you can actually modify these fields by simply clicking on one of the fields. You can then choose to use a different field that was pulled in from the MLS, or you can use your own custom field to make an adjustment for, such as the property's condition. Or you can just simply choose to leave the field blank if you just want to clean up the page a little bit. And when you click OK, you'll see that the field has changed to condition that I changed it to. And once you're done arranging the description fields, if you did want to use those same set of fields for your future price adjusted CMAs, you can click Save Fields at the bottom. Then, in order to actually make your adjustments, you'll want to find the comp at the top that you're making the adjustment for. And then underneath, you want to line it up with the field that you're making the adjustment for. So for example, if I'm adjusting comp number 1 for the bedrooms, I'll click on this blank text box here that's lined up with bedrooms. And then I'm just going to type in the whole dollar amount that I want to add to the comp to adjust the price. You don't need to use any cents, percentages, or other characters. And then when you go to the next line, the system will calculate the new total for that comp at the bottom plus your adjustment. The only symbol that you want to make on this page is a minus sign if you're going to make a deduction instead. So here I'll subtract 5,000 for this field. And then when I go to the next line, you can see it adjusts the total for the comp at the bottom. So you can repeat those steps for each comp and for each field that you need to make adjustments for. And then click Next once you're done. Then if you included the recommended price range page, then that will be the next screen that would come to. The system will calculate a price range for you by taking the average price of your sold comps after adjustments, and then take plus or minus 3% of that value. But if you don't agree with the amount the system calculated, you can always change it to what you feel is appropriate. And then once you're done, click Next. If you included the pricing strategy page, then that will be the next screen that we come to. This is another page that talks about the price range, but this one, as you can see, lets you go into more detail with the wording. So you can actually explain how you came up with your price range and the strategy that you used. So if you have your own pricing template that you use, you can always input it here and save it as a default. If you do choose to keep ToolKit's default template, though, underneath header 3, suggested price strategy, there is a space where you can manually type in your price range where these dashes are. And then once you're done, click Next. Then if you included the estimated net proceeds worksheet, that will be the next page that we come to. Here you can edit any of these description fields on the left as necessary. You could change them or add or remove them as you see fit. And then on the right side, you just want to use whole dollar amounts, no percentages or non-numerical characters. And then when you go to the next line, the system will calculate the new estimated proceeds at the bottom. Once you're done here, click Next. And if you included the marketing plan of action page, then this is the last screen that we'll come to in the process. This is just another customizable template that you can use. This one just talks about how you plan to market the property each week on the market. So if you did want to use this particular page, you can definitely customize the sections to how you personally do your marketing and then save it as a default. Once you're done, click Next. And then we'll be taken to the Create Presentation page. The only option on this page is whether or not you want to include a tablet presentation. So if you did want to use the interactive tablet version that we looked at the beginning, then you can check this box off. And then we'll click Create Presentation to put together our document. Once the presentation has been created, depending on your browser, at this point, it might automatically open up the PDF document for you to view. I'm using Google Chrome and it did not open it up. Instead, it's prompting me to save my presentation, and this is saving it in the ToolKit CMA account for 180 days. This is an editable copy of the data. So I'll go ahead and save this. The system will say, please wait while it's saving. So it's important to make sure not to interrupt the system or navigate away while it is saving. Alrighty, once it's done saving, we'll then be taken to the Summary of Presentation page. Here underneath, there is a summary of some of the details about your presentation. And directly above that, there's some function buttons going across the screen. So if your browser did not automatically open up the document, like mine didn't, then you can click View PDF to open that up. So here is the presentation that I just created in this demonstration. And this is in a PDF format. So if you did need to print out your presentation, you can do so right from here. Now you can also save a copy of this PDF document to your computer's hard drive, and that will be a permanent hard copy of your presentation that you'll have for your own records just in case. So generally, it is a good idea to save the PDF along with saving it in your ToolKit CMA account, just so that you have something for the future in case it's needed. So we already went over what the finished ToolKit CMA presentation looks like, so we don't need to go over this one again. So I'll close out of this document. Back on the summary screen, there's also an option to view the tablet version of your presentation. So if you click on that link, you can preview what the tablet version would look like. There's also a share button. This will let you email your presentation to a client. At the top here, you can simply type in the email address that you want to send it to. Underneath, you can customize your email message, the subject, body, and the closing. And if you do make any changes to the email message, you can save it as a default if you want to save those changes for next time. And then you can click Send Email to send the presentation. And this will send a link to your PDF document to the client. And if they do click on the link in the email, then you'll also be alerted that they've viewed it. So it helps you keep track of whether or not your client is viewing your presentations. And it will say at the bottom that it's sending the presentation. So again, you don't want to interrupt the system while it's sending the email. It's taking a little longer than usual to send today. There might be some slowness going on here. Okay, so once that's done emailing, we'll be directed back to the summary page. There's two more buttons here. There is a button that lets you save the presentation if you did not save it already. And then there's a button that will take you back to the home screen if you need to start a new presentation. Now at this point, I did want to point out, let's say that you've looked at your presentation, but you saw that there were some changes that you needed to make. Here's where you can use that Go To menu from the top right corner. If you click on this menu, this will show you all of the different screens that we've been to during the building process. And you can simply click back to whatever page you need to make a change to. For example, let's say I wanted to adjust the price range. Then I'll just click back to this Confirm Price Range page. Here I can make my adjustment as necessary. And then if you do make any changes, it's important that you then click Next until you go back to the end. And then you want to recreate your presentation. Essentially, you're just generating a new PDF document with those changes that you made. And then once that's done, you'll then be able to save your changes. You'll have the option to either overwrite your previous version or save it as a new copy if you want to have both. This Go-To menu can be used at any point. Even if you're in the middle of creating your presentation, you can always use the Go-To menu to jump around to the different screens and navigate around wherever you need to go. Now let's say instead you've left the program completely, but then you've come back at a later time and you wanted to edit one of your saved presentations. So if we go back to the home screen now we'll see in the recent saves section, here is the presentation that we just created and saved listed here. There are quick links to view the PDF or the tablet version right from the home screen. But if you did need to make a change, you can click the edit button. That will load your presentation data, and you can then choose what page that you want to edit from. Again, whichever screen you need to go to, you can just click directly to it. Make your change as necessary, and then again, just click next until you get back to the end, and then recreate the presentation. And back on the home screen, just wanted to point out in the recent shares section, any presentations that you email or any flyers that you email or post to social media, they will be shown in your recent shares section. And it'll let you know when you sent it, to whom you sent it to, and also whether or not it's been viewed yet. So you can keep track of your shares right here as well on the home screen. So now that we've covered the presentation part of the program, now we can go over the other main feature of ToolKit, which is the property flyers. So to get started building a flyer, on the home screen, we'll click Create a Property Flyer. That'll take us to a new screen, which will show us all of the different flyer templates that are available to choose from. Just to briefly scroll through, show you all of the different templates here. There are a lot of different options they've been building up over the years, and some of them are a little more plain, some of them are more involved. And each one has differing amounts of photos and bullet points, so you can probably find something in here that will suit your needs. The ones at the top are also a little bit customized for Century 21 with the Century 21 colors. So we did put those at the top for you. So go ahead, you choose a template that you like, and then click Create. And then we'll be taken to the Compose Flyer screen. And so here, of course, you can input all of the information for your flyer by hand if needed. However, you can also download your property details from the MLS if your property is listed by clicking Download a Property at the top. So that'll take us to the Select MLS screen. And this process for downloading your listing is exactly the same as it is for the listing presentation. So again, I won't be able to demonstrate this process, but as always, feel free to call our support department if you ever need help with downloading from your MLS. Now for a flyer, if you do have the enhanced download option for your MLS, it is pretty easy because you can just use the MLS number search option and just simply type the MLS number for your property and then click Get Listings to download it. But not all MLS options have the enhanced download option. So, we're always here to help if you need assistance downloading from your MLS. So again, for the purposes of today's webinar, I'm going to use the demo properties so that we can do a sample flyer. Once your property's been downloaded, you'll be taken to the Select Properties screen. This will show you the property that you've downloaded to make sure you've got the right one. Typically, when you're doing a flyer, you'll just have one property here. But since I've used the demo properties, I do have a bunch of different properties to choose from. So I'll go ahead and just pick this first one here and click Next to create my flyer. So that'll take us back to the Compose Flyer screen. But now all of the information will automatically be imported from the MLS. Now you still want to make sure to look over the bullet points and the remarks just to make sure that everything came in correctly and that all of the bullet points are valid details that you want to highlight. Maybe you don't want to talk about the siding. So the bullet points are customizable. You can simply type in something else if you don't like one of the bullet points. Also, the remarks, you can add or edit them as necessary. Then at the bottom, you can also arrange the photos that you want to show on your flyer. And depending on which template you chose, you'll have a different amount of photo slots here. The one I chose has 7 photos on it, so there's 7 different slots here. And for each one, it'll tell you above where that photo is on the flyer. Typically, the first photo is always the main house photo, but then the other ones will tell you exactly where that picture is on the flyer. This one's on the top left, top center, the left center and the left bottom, and so on. And then for each photo slot, you can use the left and right arrows to scroll through the different photos that were downloaded from the MLS and pick the one that you want for that slot. You'll notice that each photo has a series of dots on them also. Each of these dots represents one of the available photos, and you could simply click that dot to jump directly to one of the particular photos. Now, if you were doing your flyer by hand, or if you had some additional photos that you wanted to use in your flyer that weren't in the MLS, you can click Upload Photo on the right-hand side, and then click Browse, and you can actually add a photo directly from your computer's hard drive onto the flyer. So here I have this random house picture on my desktop I can use for demonstration, and then click Upload. So if you notice, that added an additional dot to the end of my available photos. So if I click on this last dot, you can see here is the one that I just added. So you can add in any custom photos and make sure all the photos are arranged how you want them. Once you're done with the photos, the last section at the very bottom that you can include is the QR code. Our program does have its own QR code generator. So if you did want to use this feature, you can simply enter a website into the text box here. And then when you create the flyer, ToolKit will automatically generate a QR code that will link to that website. So we'll go ahead and create our flyer. And then the system will create our PDF document with all of our flyer information on it. So of course, at this point, if you needed to print out physical copies, you can print directly from here. And you can also save a copy of this PDF file to your computer to have a permanent hard copy for your own records. I'll close out of the PDF document. Back in the ToolKit program, we'll be automatically prompted to save our flyer. So again, this is saving the flyer data to your ToolKit CMA account for 180 days. So let's go ahead and save this one as well. And then once it's done saving, on the flyer summary screen, there will be some similar function buttons going across the screen. There's the button to view the flyer if your browser did not automatically open it for you. There's also a button to email the flyer, then a shortcut to create another flyer, or a button to save the flyer if you did not already save it. Now with flyers, you also have some additional options to post to social media sites. We can post it to Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest directly from ToolKit. And if you do post to any of those sites, if anybody clicks on the link that's posted, then you'll be able to keep track of that on your home screen in the recent shares. So it helps you keep track of how many people are viewing your flyers from social media. And at this point, if you did need to edit your flyer, we can again use Go To from the top right corner. We can click Compose/Edit Flyer, and that'll take us back to the Compose Flyer screen, where we can then make our change as necessary. And then just click Create Flyer at the bottom, and that'll generate a new flyer with your changes. And then back in ToolKit, you'll have the option to either overwrite your previous flyer or save it as a new copy. And then if we go back to the home screen, we'll see in our recent saves is the property flyer that we just created. There's also a quick link to view the PDF of your flyer. And if you need to edit it, simply click the edit button, and that'll load your flyer and take you right back to the composed flyer screen where you can make your change as necessary. So that covers the main features of ToolKit. So the last thing that we have to go over are each of the options found by clicking on your agent name in the top right corner. Again, this is where you can manage your different settings and preferences within your profile. The first option here is agent profile. And this is where you can actually adjust the contact information that shows up on each of your presentations. The next option down is agent photo. This is where you can upload a new agent photo if you need to update that. If you do update your photo on 21 Online, it will not automatically update it in your ToolKit CMA account, so you'll have to make sure to upload that here as well. The next option down is web reviews. This is where you can link your various testimonial or review sites to your ToolKit account, such as Zillow, Real Satisfied, Reach 150, Testimonial Tree, Rated Agent, or Delta Reviews. For each site, you'll need to link up the appropriate information that it's asking for, such as your Zillow screen name, your Real Satisfied vanity key, your Reach 150 email, and so on. And once you've linked up the appropriate information, you can also choose how many reviews you want to pull up to a maximum of 10. Then just click Save at the bottom. And then if you go to create a new presentation, on the document list, if we scroll down to the bottom, there's a section that says Select Your Web Reviews Pages. And here you can check off the page once you've linked it to your account. And basically, ToolKit will automatically pull your most recent reviews from whichever site you're using and create a document out of it. So here's an example of what a Zillow page from ToolKit might look like. The next option, or the next two options, are two different templates that are available for you to fill out for your agent resume and your agent references. You can fill these out. The resume template looks like this. And the references template looks like this. And if you do fill those templates out, if we go back to our document list, there are two pages in the list that pull from those templates. They're called My Accomplishments and My References. The Accomplishments page will take from the resume template, and it will look something like this. And then the resume page, the references page will look something like this. The next option down is settings. Here you can adjust various program settings in your account, such as how the system calculates the recommended price range. There are some options you can adjust, such as which properties it uses in the calculation. You can adjust the percentage bounds that it takes from the average, and also how it will round the values. There's also some other options you can adjust in here, such as the email settings. You do have the option to send your emails from an alternate email address instead of your main Century 21 email. There's also some mapping settings you can adjust in here. And so for the most part, you probably won't need to mess with these too much, but they are here if they're ever needed. And then the next option after that is saved presentations and flyers. And this is where you can go if you just want to delete any old or duplicated presentations that are saved. Simply check off the presentation and then click Delete Selected. And then at the bottom of the menu is a Customize section, which has a couple options for customizing your presentations. The Personal Pages option is where you can actually upload your own custom PDF documents into the presentation. such as maybe you have your own marketing pages or your personal bio or something like that. So here on the left-hand side, you can choose what presentation type you want to add the page to. On the right-hand side, you can give the document a name. I'll just call this one test document for demonstration. Then underneath, you can choose the PDF file that you want to upload. Any pages you're adding do have to be in a PDF format, and you want it to be a portrait-oriented document. And then at the bottom, you can choose your page treatment option, and that's basically whether or not you want to include the Century 21 footer onto your page. So if you do have room at the bottom of your document, it is a good idea to include the page treatment because it makes your page fit in with the other documents. But if you don't have room at the bottom, you might want to leave the page treatment as none. That way it doesn't overlap anything on your page. And then click Upload at the bottom. And you'll get a message in red saying that your document has been uploaded. So now one more time, if we go back to the document list, scroll down to the very bottom, we can see here is the test document page that I just uploaded. So it gets put directly into the document list with the other pages. Now it does get put to the very bottom of the list by default. So here we can use that very last option in the list, change document order, to actually rearrange the order of the pages. On the left-hand side, you can choose which presentation type you want to rearrange. I'll choose the listing presentation. And on the right-hand side, we'll show you all of the pages in the presentation, including your personal pages. So here at the very bottom is the test document that I had uploaded. And then I can use the up and down buttons to move it to where I want in the document list. And you can rearrange the order of any of the pages, not just your personal pages. Even the default pages that are in here, you can rearrange those as well. So it's pretty customizable, and you can really personalize your presentations if you wanted to. And then just click Save at the bottom to save your changes. So that does complete today's webinar. So now we'll open it up for questions. I saw that there were some questions that popped up during the webinar, so I'll go over those briefly. And feel free to type in any questions if anybody else has any as well. Okay, first question, if you email a pre-listing presentation for them to preview, will I receive a notification that they've opened that? Yes, any presentations that you email from ToolKit, if your client clicks on the link from the email, then you'll be notified. Doesn't matter what presentation it is. Okay, next question. If I want to use the tablet version for my presentations, do I need to log into ToolKit every time to view it, or can I save the tablet version so I can quickly open it when needed? The tablet version actually does require an internet connection to view because it interfaces with Google Maps on the spot. So you do have to sign in to ToolKit to view the tablet. There's no way to actually have that saved on your tablet for quick access. Okay, another question. Do we access the toolkit from 21online.com or somewhere else? Yes, it is accessed from 21online.com. You have to sign in from there first. And then you can find the link for toolkit. I think it's in the productivity hub. But a lot of agents I've helped access toolkit, I've just told them to search ToolKit CMA in the search bar once you get to 21 Online. And it pops right up, and that'll sign you into your ToolKit account automatically. Okay, another question, is our account already set up and ready to use, or are there steps we need to follow? Like I just mentioned, any Century 21 agent has access to ToolKit automatically. All you have to do is sign in to 21online.com and search for ToolKit CMA. And if it's your first time using it, it'll set you up with an account right away and get you signed in. So any agent can access it immediately. Okay, another question. I'm looking for a flyer template for letting people know that a house in the neighborhood is up for sale, and they should call if they want to get an updated price on their property. Does ToolKit have something like this? I'm not so sure. Our flyers in ToolKit are just property flyers meant to highlight details about a specific property. So I don't think that we'll have something that's what you're looking for there. You might want to find a different template if you are looking for something like that. Alrighty, another question. Will you email a recording of the webinar? I'm not sure if this webinar is being recorded or not, but I'm not the one that controls that. If you call our support department, though, again, our 800 number is right there in the ToolKit program. If you click support at the top right corner, and we'll be able to let you know if it's been recorded and if we can send that out to you. So just give us a call.